The hearing room on Capitol Hill buzzed with anticipation, a charged atmosphere where every whisper carried weight. Cameras whirred, journalists scribbled furiously, and the air crackled with political tension. First Lady Melania Trump sat at the center of it all, her presence a study in elegance, poised, serene, yet radiating a quiet intensity that commanded attention. She was there to discuss a non-political initiative on children's mental health, a cause close to her heart. But the room was a powder keg. President Trump's recent public clashes with progressive lawmakers had set the stage, and among them was Representative Jasmine Crockett, a rising star known for her bold rhetoric and unapologetic flair. As Melania adjusted her microphone, the room fell silent, every eye trained on her. Crockett, seated just a few feet away, leaned forward, her lips curling into a provocative smirk. Tapping her mic, she shattered the hush with a venomous jab. With all due respect, should someone who isn't even legally American be testifying in a federal setting? Maybe Mrs. Trump should be deported back to Slovenia instead of lecturing us here. The words landed like a grenade. Gasps rippled through the audience, pens froze mid-stroke, and cameras zoomed in. The accusation was a calculated move, designed to humiliate. Melania didn't flinch. Her eyes lifted slowly from her notes, calm but piercing, like a storm gathering on the horizon. A staffer leaned in, whispering if she wanted to pause. Melania shook her head, her expression unreadable. The room seemed to hold its breath. Leaning toward the microphone, her Slovenian accent soft yet deliberate, she spoke. I was invited here not as an immigrant, but as the First Lady of the United States. But if Congresswoman Crockett wishes to discuss legality, perhaps she should review her own paperwork first. Muffled whispers erupted. Crockett's smirk faltered. A flicker of unease caught on camera. Melania's voice remained steady, each word measured. I became a citizen in 2006 through a legal and respected process. My EB-1 visa, known as the Einstein visa, is granted only to those with extraordinary achievements. I worked hard, followed your laws, and earned my place. And now, I sit beside you as the wife of the 45th and 47th President of the United States. Let that sink in. The room was electric. Crockett forced a laugh, trying to shrug off the moment, but the atmosphere had shifted. Melania's words carried a weight that silenced skepticism. You speak of deportation like it's a punchline, she continued, her gaze locking onto Crockett. For immigrants, it's a fear, real and painful. I lived that fear, overcame it, and did it the right way. But I wonder, Congresswoman, while you judged my citizenship, did you think we wouldn't notice yours? Melania slid a folder forward. This contains verified documents linking Congresswoman Crockett to misuse of campaign funds through shell nonprofits that mysteriously vanished. The room fell deathly silent. Crockett's face drained of color. The folder sat like a ticking bomb on the table. Reporters typed frantically, their keyboards a soft chorus in the hush. Crockett stammered, I don't know what that is. That's not official. Melania didn't interrupt, her hands folded, her composure a fortress. This wasn't from political aides, she said softly. It was handed to me by a young mother from Texas who voted for you but watched you betray her trust. Crockett stood, her chair scraping loudly. This is political theater, a setup by Trump's people. Melania's response was a quiet blade. You judged me for my accent, but your people judge you for losing your integrity. A tear glistened in Crockett's eye. not from sadness, but from the dawning realization of her misstep. Representative Thompson, a veteran Democrat, leaned forward, his voice gentle but firm. "Is what the First Lady said true, Congresswoman?" Crockett's voice cracked. "I don't know where this is coming from." Melania's expression softened, not with victory, but with disappointment. "When I came to this country, I cleaned apartments to survive. I stood in visa lines for years. I respected America, but I did not come here to be mocked for it." A woman in the audience, seated behind the press, began to cry quietly. Melania's voice trembled slightly. "You accused me of being illegal because I don't sound like you. But my passport is blue, just like yours. Unlike you, I haven't taken $1 from the people for luxury vacations." A screen flickered on behind her, displaying news footage of Crockett's questionable financial dealings, lavish trips, murky donations. The audience shifted, no longer amused, but judging. A journalist raised a hand. "Mrs. Trump, may we ask about your immigration history?" Melania nodded. "I came to the U.S. in the 1990s on a tourist visa, then earned professional modeling visas. I never worked illegally. In 2001, I received an EB-1 visa for extraordinary ability. Scientists, artists, athletes. I worked hard to earn it. In 2006, I became a citizen. I waited in line, followed every step, and was proud to join this country." Admiration rippled through the room. Crockett tried to deflect. "She's distracting from the real issues." Melania turned to her, unflinching. "You are the real issue, Congresswoman. This country gave you power, and you use it to shame others. I didn't take your voice, but I ask you to use it for truth." Crockett sat, speechless, her bravado dissolved. The cameras captured her trembling silence, a stark contrast to Melania's unshakable grace. An older woman in the audience stood, her voice breaking. "Mrs. Trump, thank you. My daughter is an immigrant. She cried every night studying for her citizenship exam. Your words mean the world." Melania nodded, holding back tears. Soft applause spread through the gallery. Crockett slouched, her attempt to humiliate Melania now a national embarrassment. As Melania stepped out of the chamber, her words ignited a firestorm online. Clips of her response. "My passport is blue, just like yours," and "This country gave you power, and you turned it into poison," trended globally under #sign Melania the Lioness. Even networks critical of the Trumps aired the exchange in full. Crockett's team scrambled, leaking vague denials, but the public had already judged. A new file, Crockett's Silent Trail, surfaced, detailing shady donations, missing disclosures, and a suspicious property purchase. A former intern from Crockett's office spoke anonymously. "She treats her position like a stage, not a duty." Melania spoke the truth. That evening, in her East Wing study, Melania sat quietly, sipping tea. An assistant handed her a letter from a veteran. "Dear First Lady, my daughter hides her accent because kids laugh. Today, she saw you stand proud. Thank you." Melania held the letter close, her resolve deepening. This wasn't about politics. It was about dignity. Across the country, stories poured in. A teacher in Ohio shared how her immigrant students felt seen. A nurse in Florida wrote, "You reminded me why I fought for my citizenship." The next morning, President Trump grinned across the breakfast table. "You went full lioness, Mel." She smiled softly. Someone had to speak the truth. A call came from the National Immigrant Women's Council inviting her to their summit. "We've begged for someone with your platform to speak with grace," the caller said, voice thick with emotion. Melania replied, "I was told to stay silent, but not anymore." Outside a secure White House entrance, a young Ukrainian woman approached Melania's motorcade, trembling. "I just got my green card. People treat me like a joke, but you made me believe I can be respected." Melania stepped out, hugging her. "You are not a joke. You are brave." The moment, captured by cameras, went viral. A First Lady embracing an immigrant-like family. At a small education summit, Melania spoke, her voice cracking. "I thought silence was strength, but now I know it's standing up, even when your voice shakes. No child should feel less American because they sound different." A mother in the audience cried, "If my voice helps one person, I will never be silent again." The room erupted in applause, not for politics, but for humanity. In a Chicago immigration office, a Venezuelan mother and daughter watched Melania's clip on a wall-mounted TV. The daughter translated, "She said we should never feel small." As their number was called, the officer smiled. "Everything's in order. This is your beginning." The mother wept, whispering, "Maybe we're here because she spoke." They stepped into the sunlight, clutching their approved documents, hope rekindled. Meanwhile, Crockett sat alone in her office, staring into a mirror. Her phone buzzed with alerts, calls, texts, warnings of investigations into her finances. But Melania's words echoed louder. "Your voice was meant for service, not for show." For the first time, Crockett saw a stranger in her reflection, a woman who'd lost her way. She remembered her first day in Congress, the dreams she carried for her community. Now, she'd mocked a woman who rose from nothing, and the world had seen her fall. Later, Crockett called Melania privately. "I was wrong," she said, voice breaking. "I let frustration with your husband become hate for you. You didn't deserve that." Melania replied gently, "We all get angry, but we must never let it become cruelty." Jasmine whispered, "Thank you for reminding me who I used to be," and wept, perhaps for the right reasons at last. A package arrived at the White House from a Michigan middle school, letters from 6th graders. One read, "Dear Mrs. Trump, my parents are from Honduras. You taught me kindness isn't weakness." Melania read each one, tears falling. In Arizona, a father and his daughter, bullied for her Mexican heritage, watched the clip. "Dad, why did they say Melania wasn't American enough?" He knelt beside her. "Strength isn't shouting. It's standing tall, like she did." His viral Facebook post read, "Melania reminded us why we're proud to call this country home." In a Nebraska classroom, a teacher played Melania's speech for her students. A girl, whose mother immigrated from Guatemala, spoke softly. "People laugh when my mom talks at the store." The teacher wrote "Courage" on the board. Melania didn't yell. She stood tall. The class crafted handmade cards with a simple message. "Thank you for standing tall." Those cards, mailed to the White House, became a quiet testament to a First Lady's impact on the youngest hearts. On Capitol Hill, senators from both parties gathered in a closed session, the air heavy with reflection. A Republican senator spoke. Melania's response wasn't political. It was personal, raw, human. A Democrat nodded solemnly. "We're losing the soul of public service. She reminded us what it means to serve with grace." The conversation wasn't about votes or agendas. It was about reckoning with a coarsened political discourse and the need to reclaim decency. In a New York newsroom, A senior producer slammed her coffee down. Run Melania's clip raw. Let people hear it unfiltered. Networks, even those once critical, aired her story in full, sparking nationwide conversations about dignity over division. An anchor, previously dismissive of Melania, paused mid-broadcast. If you don't feel something watching this, check your soul. The clip exploded online, amassing millions of views. In just 36 hours, a cruel insult had transformed into a national mirror, reflecting Melania's grace and reshaping her image, not as a silent wife, but as a woman of unyielding fire. Jasmine Crockett, alone at home, watched the press conference on a loop. The mockery she once wielded was gone, replaced by introspection. Her aide warned of looming investigations into her campaign finances, but Melania's words haunted her more. Your voice was meant for service, not for show. Crockett posted a raw video apology, her face bare of makeup. To those I disappointed, I hear you. To the First Lady, I was wrong. You taught us strength. The video went viral, not for drama, but for its quiet redemption, signaling a rare moment of accountability. A Gold Star widow wrote to President Trump, "Your wife reminded us what America is supposed to be, a place where dignity triumphs." At the White House gates, a little girl slipped a crayon drawing through the bars. You made me feel brave. Melania knelt, hugging her tightly, whispering, You make me feel proud. The image, an immigrant First Lady embracing a child, became iconic, a symbol of silent power that transcended politics. In a small Virginia diner, two truckers, one black, one Latino, sat over coffee, discussing the clash. She didn't just shut that congresswoman down, one said. She spoke for my mom, who still gets funny looks for her Jamaican accent. The other nodded. She made America feel like home again. Their conversation echoed in barbershops, churches, and living rooms, where people set aside political divides to celebrate humanity. A barber in Atlanta posted online, Melania didn't just win a fight. She reminded us we're all in this together. His post, shared thousands of times, carried the #sign Stand with Grace. At a D.C. women's shelter, Melania met immigrant mothers, their faces etched with struggle. A Nigerian woman shared her fear of speaking publicly. I sound different, she admitted, voice trembling. Melania took her hand. Your voice is your strength. Never hide it. The women wept, not from shame, but from pride. A volunteer tweeted, Melania didn't just visit. She listened. She saw us. The post spread, inspiring shelters nationwide to host discussions on embracing identity, with Melania's words as the catalyst. In a Texas border town, a high school held an assembly inspired by the clash. A shy student, whose parents were undocumented, took the podium. I was afraid to speak because of my last name, she said. But Mrs. Trump showed me I belong. The crowd roared, and her speech trended locally with number We Belong. Teachers noted students wearing their heritage proudly, pins with flags from Mexico, El Salvador, and beyond, inspired by a First Lady who turned an insult into a movement. A local pastor organized a community vigil, where families shared stories of immigration and resilience, crediting Melania's courage for sparking the gathering. In a bustling Los Angeles market, a street vendor named Maria, an immigrant from Honduras, watched the clip on her phone. Customers, noticing her tears, asked why she was crying. That woman, Maria said, pointing to Melania's image, she spoke for me. I've been called names, told to go back. But she stood up, and now I feel stronger. A passerby recorded the moment, and the video spread online, captioned, "Melania's voice reached the streets." It garnered thousands of shares, with comments from immigrants worldwide echoing Maria's sentiment. In the White House press room, Melania faced reporters, her voice steady but warm. "This isn't about me," she said. "It's about everyone told they're not enough, not American enough, not strong enough. If you've felt small, don't stay silent. You are stronger than you know." Reporters stood in awe, some with tears in their eyes. She wasn't just a First Lady. She was every mother, every immigrant, every voice made whole. A veteran journalist whispered to a colleague, "We misjudged her. She's not just grace. She's steel." As sunset bathed Washington, Melania walked the White House garden. A young gardener, unaware of her approach, asked nervously about her immigration journey. "I followed every law," she said softly. "Tell your mother not to give up." The door opens. He stood frozen, not in fear, but in awe, later sharing the encounter with his family. His mother, awaiting her visa, clutched his hand and whispered, "She's right. I'll keep going." In a Chicago immigration office, a Venezuelan mother and daughter watched Melania's clip on a flickering TV. The daughter translated, "She said we should never feel small." As their number was called, the officer smiled. "Everything's in order. This is your beginning." The mother wept, clutching her approved papers. "Maybe we're here because she spoke," she whispered. Outside, they joined a small crowd holding signs. "Thank you, Melania, for giving us hope." A mother left a photo at the White House gates, a snapshot of her holding her naturalization certificate, with a note, "You defended us. Gracias, Melania." In a rural Ohio library, a librarian hosted a reading circle for immigrant children, using Melania's speech as inspiration. A boy from Syria, usually silent, read Auntie read aloud for the first time. "She said my voice matters," he told the group, his accent thick but proud. The librarian sent a photo of the children to the White House, captioned, "Your words are building futures." Melania stood by a window, watching dawn rise over Washington. Her dignity had united a nation, not through anger, but through truth. She hadn't yelled or insulted. She'd simply said, "I belong here, just like you." Those words reached the single mother at the DMV, the child bullied for her accent, the father honoring his immigrant wife's memory. In silencing cruelty, Melania became the voice of millions, reigniting hope in a divided land. Her quiet strength had sparked a movement, not of politics, but of humanity. A reminder that courage speaks loudest when it whispers truth.